Hello and welcome. You are now looking at SendGrid.com. SendGrid.com is an email service company that makes getting transactional email to your customers at the point of their purchase a priority. The company maintains standards and deliverability as one of their unique selling features, and they serve companies of all sizes and reputation. In addition to transactional email, the company does provide autoresponder services, allowing you to send both broadcast and automated emails. The company is GDPR compliant and has made preparations for those that use its services to also be in compliance. Now, this course will focus on both transactional email as well as customer-centered email. And we'll do that so that you can leverage its technology and capability in consistently getting email into the inbox of your customers. In the first video, we'll discuss plans and pricing. I will also discuss all the most important account settings you'll need in order to set up SendGrid with any service in order to get transactional email into your customer's inbox. And it's quite possible you may want to use its services for autoresponder related activities. And we'll cover this also. Also cover some of the technical issues such as suppressions that will help you to continue to maintain your deliverability. We'll also cover ways for you to make sure that your account remains secure with those who have permission to use your account. And lastly, we'll look at some of the statistics available to you that will help you to track how well your emails are doing and what you can do to correct those things that you'd like to see go better. Hello and welcome. If you have an existing SendGrid account and you are looking at the pricing page, you might find that what you have looks differently than what's being presented on the page. For example, if you have an older plan, you could have what's called the free 12K plan, which is $0 a month, allowing you to send 12,000 transactional emails every month. If you don't have that plan, you'll notice that when you come to the page that there is an essentials plan and it says it's $9.95 for 40,000 emails in a calendar month. Now, if you are going to have transactional emails in excess of 100 emails per day, you may not need to sign up for the paid plan. So for example, if we come to this page, you don't have a SendGrid account, and you click this link that says try for free. It's going to allow you to set up the trial account at 40,000 emails. However, you aren't going to need to put in a payment account for the setup. So once again, you'll only need to pay if you go over the 100 email threshold every month. Now, if you intend to use SendGrid for marketing, you'll note that at the $9.95 plan that you can store 2,000 contacts. That means that you're going to have 2,000 names that you can send marketing emails to. However, if you're starting with more contacts, you can adjust up the estimate bar and you can find out how much SendGrid is going to cost you every month. So for example, if we were to move this up to 15,000 contacts, then your price would be 15,000 contacts at $20 plus the $9.95, allowing you to send 40,000 emails every month. So you'll be able to know exactly what your pricing is going to be based on what you're going to be doing with SendGrid. Again, if you're just going to be doing transactional email, you probably won't need any contacts. You can bring this down to 0. And you'll note that this will be $9.95. Again, if you go over the 100 email threshold on a daily basis. So to get started, click the Try for Free link. And what you'll need to do is to set up a username, a password, and then an email address. And you'll be asked to confirm that email address and then set up your account. Once you set up your account, you'll be at the dashboard and you'll be ready to start working with SendGrid. Welcome back. Now, when you first set up your account, you're going to want to make sure that you verify by sending your email so that you can confirm that you were the person that started the account. Once you do that, you'll come to the dashboard, and what you're going to want to do is go to the settings area, and you do want to verify your plan and billing. And if you click inside that link, you're going to notice that the plan is that you're going to be able to send 40,000 emails for the first 30 days. And if we click Change Plan, we'll be able to look at the plan, and you'll notice that you have a free plan that you can send 40,000 emails for the first 30 days and then 100 free emails every day thereafter. Now, by default, SendGrid gives you a usage limit so that you'll be able to know when you're reaching your threshold. So if you go inside of this gear and you click Edit Details, you'll notice that once you've reached 90% of your limit for the current billing period, SendGrid is going to then send you an email. Now, of course, you can delete this update, but this is a good update for you to keep so that you'll know if you're reaching the point at which you're going to have to pay. Now, you can set up other alerts. So for example, if we click New Alert and we select the type, we can set up a status notification alert. We can set up the status notification on a daily basis, weekly basis, or monthly basis. And we can set that status notification up to a specific email. So this will tell us exactly where our account is on a regular basis. In the settings area, you'll notice that you have API keys. You'll be using these to connect with other services such as WordPress and ClickFunnels if you want to use SendGrid to connect to their email transactional system. You'll also have a mail settings area, and we'll be working with these mail settings when you get ready to, again, connect SendGrid to a specific service so that your clients get transactional emails. So for the bulk of the course, we'll be working within these menus to set up SendGrid so that it connects with just about any system to give your client the notifications they need in a particular purchase or transaction. We'll pay particular attention to this white label area because this is what will give your transactional email the highest visibility, and we'll be covering that in a separate video. Hello and welcome. You are looking at the inside of a website built with WordPress. And if we go inside of this link, this is a particular membership script that works with WordPress. Now, by default, plugins like this work with the mail settings on your existing server. And that can cause a problem with getting emails delivered for important emails like registration, lost information, new member notification, and unsubscribe. And even if you don't use this service with your WordPress installation, in most cases, the plugin or theme will work with the default settings for your existing server. You may be working with an online web application like ClickFunnels or some other membership program that does send out transactional emails that will actually require you to have an email service so that you can ensure deliverability. And in those cases, you're working with an internal management system called SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. This will keep you from having to rely on your program or your installation's usage of cron jobs, as well as queued emails. So whenever possible, you want your web application or installation to rely on an outside sender, which will help with deliverability as well as issues of throttling. And so one of the main functions of SendGrid is to help you to send effective transactional email, which is account-related activity when you have or you're administering some kind of web-based system. And so you're typically talking about password emails, system notifications, and email verification messages. So what we want to do now is to configure the settings area so that you'll be able to connect with any web-based application in order to send transactional email. We also want to do that in a way that you'll be able to manage with a partner or alone and to have a secure account, as safeguarding data is more important than ever. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we are going to start by creating transactional email templates. When you're in your dashboard, if you go to the left side menu and you click this drop down arrow, you're going to see in the template area that you have transactional marketing. You're going to click transactional. And then that will open up into this screen and you'll be able to create a template. You want to click that button. Now you want to give this template a name, and then you're going to click Save. What you've done first is you've created now a template group, as this message says. You're now going to click Add Version. Now, if you don't know HTML code, you probably will not be using the code editor. You want to start with the design editor, or what you see is what you get. We're going to click Design Editor. And then we're going to click Continue. What we're going to do first is we're going to click this drop down arrow of template settings. We're going to give the template a name. We're going to give the email a subject. I'm going to write it between these two percentage marks. What you can then do is write an email pre-header. And this is going to be the small amount of text that you can see previewing what's going to be in the email. You can dictate what that's going to be. And what you've done is you've configured the template settings. What you can do now is you can click the Build button. And then you can begin to add modules that reflect what you want to have inside of your email template. And you can click anywhere inside of the template to activate the modules. So for example, if we click this button, you'll see then that we get the text module. When you click inside of this area, you're going to see the actual set of settings and content that you can alter. You can add in other modules, such as a button. What we're going to do is drag and drop this button inside of the area. And now we have our button text. If we click on top of that button text, we can change it. We have all of our information in this area to change what the button is. We're going to change the button text. And we want to have the URL. We can do that here inside of this box. And so basically we can use any one of these blocks to design our template in the way we want it to appear when the individual gets it. We can design the email body in terms of color. We can design any content container. So we have full latitude over what we can do inside of the template to make it look the way we want. We can then preview our template by clicking this button. And we can then save our template by clicking the top button. Once our template has been saved, we can then go back to the main menu. And once the template is completed, you can then use one of three methods in order to make it part of your email. You can use the SMTP relay, or you can make it part of your template inside of the API. Hello and welcome. Now, in setting up SendGrid, one of the most important things that you can do is to white label both your email and your domain. And you'll see that there is a menu hint item, or you can go to the left side menu and you can just click white labels. And the overview explains the difference in plain English. So in the non-white label example, your client will get an email, and the email will have a header that says that it has been mailed by SendGrid.com. Now that means then that that email will be easier to filter out, or to filter into either spam or into a promotions tab. However, when you do the white labeling process, your email will reflect the fact that it's being sent by your domain. And so you want to be able to use SendGrid in a way that any email that gets sent through your web app actually reflects your domain, even though you're using SendGrid to improve deliverability. So the first process to undertake is to white label your domain. And to do that, you're going to click Add Domain. And what you're going to do is you're going to give your white label domain a subdomain, and then you're going to write in the domain name in this space. You're then going to click the default white label, and then you're going to click Save. Now SendGrid is going to give you a warning message that says your DNS record must be validated before the white label setup is going to be complete, and sometimes that can take up to 48 hours before the changes are updated. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click Confirm. Now if you work with a virtual private server, you can typically copy this information and then you can give this information to your host for them to enter it into your DNS records. However, if you are managing your own domain and hosting, you are going to want to enter into your DNS records to enter this information. Now, once you've verified through the host that you can enter this information either into your cPanel or your Softaculous, you'll want to go into your zone editor. And you can add in the CNAME records by clicking this link and adding them one at a time. Now, before we start the process with the host, we're going to go through the second white label process, and we're going to click Email Links. And what this will do is add a CNAME record based on the subdomain you set up, and it will mask your open and tracking links, which you are going to want to do. So you're going to click Add White Label. And again, just as we did with the domain white label, we're going to add another subdomain here in this area. We're then going to click Save. We're then going to want to take this information just as we did with the domain white labeling, and we're going to want to put this into the CNAME record inside of our cPanel. Or again, if you are working with a virtual private server, you have managed hosting, you can just pass this information to their host and they will take care of this for you. And so you'll see this information inside of our service request with the virtual private server. Now, once you've entered the information or sent it to your host, you'll wait for a period of time. In some cases, it does take 48 hours for everything to propagate. In other times, it'll take much less than that. You can come back, and what you'll do is you'll come to this Actions gear and you'll click the Validate button, and then you'll make sure that you get 2 green check marks here. If you want to check the inside and click View, you'll see that all 3 areas are going to be validated. And the same is going to be true in the links area. If you click View, and you'll see the 2 green check marks, meaning that these have been validated. Welcome back. We are now going to go into the settings area, and you'll want to click this link that says Mail Settings, and you're going to see Select Settings in this menu. Right now, we're going to look at the footer menu. Once we're inside of the footer, we're going to click the Edit button. And we're going to define what we want our footer to look like. Now, once you've defined what you want your HTML emails to look like, you're also going to want to do the same thing for the text version. And once you've done that, you'll then click Save. Then, in order to begin using your custom footer, all you'll need to do is to click this On button. And your custom footer is now activated on your SendGrid emails. Hello and welcome. When you are working with a web application that is using SendGrid in order to send emails, you are going to want to work with the event notification settings so that SendGrid will report the information back to the web app and you'll be able to analyze the results of your email sending. Now, if you click inside of this area, you'll notice that there are a couple of settings. In particular, you're going to notice that there is a post URL. Now, this is going to be the app that you're working with. Now, currently, you can only work with one app at a time, so you're not going to be able to do multiple apps posting to a particular address. So, for example, if we click the Edit button, you'll notice that there's room for one URL that you're going to write in here. And typically, you're going to get this information from inside of your web app that will tell you how you're going to connect to either SendGrid or your email server. Now, when you scroll down, what you're going to notice is that there are some specific settings that you'll want to report back to the web app. Now, in this case, we're using one for ClickFunnels, and so what's being reported back are the dropped emails, bounced, unsubscribed from, and marked as spam. Now, you may want to keep more than that information, again, all for tracking purposes. When you've chosen the ones that you're going to want to keep, what you're going to do is you're going to click this test integration button to make sure that your connection is working. When you click that link, what's going to happen is you're going to get a message from SendGrid saying a sample notification will be sent to your endpoint shortly. And you go ahead and get rid of that. And once you have a blue check mark here, that means that everything is clear and you can click the Save button. You'll want to make sure that your event notification then is turned on to be used. Welcome back. Now, it's quite possible that you will be using a certain email or a certain domain of emails for testing purposes. If that's the case, you want to make sure that that email is never suppressed. And you can do that inside of the address whitelist settings in SendGrid. And all you'll need to do is to go to this options area, and then you'll need to edit. And you can either write in the particular email that you do not want suppressed, or you can write in the entire domain of emails so that those emails will always appear in those that you are sending. Another setting of note is that you can BCC an address for every email that is sent. So if you want to have one or record sent to your support, or you want all emails archived in some way, you can do that with the BCC setting. You'll just click edit and then you'll write the email where you want this email sent. If you get spam reports, you can have those spam reports forwarded to you. All you'll need to do is to come inside of this area. You'll click edit and then you'll give a forwarding address and then turn this section on. Now, it's quite possible that you already have an HTML template that you like to use for your transactional or your marketing emails, and you may not have the wherewithal to have this programmed by someone. If you have the HTML and you can place the source inside of this panel, you can use this template and have it customized for all of your marketing emails. And once you've customized all of the settings, you're ready then to connect with your web application in order to start sending transactional email. Welcome back. Now, in addition to being able to send transactional email, SendGrid has a marketing section, and this marketing section of links is designed to help you to use SendGrid as a traditional autoresponder. In fact, there's an entirely different dashboard showing you results of your marketing campaigns when you use SendGrid in this way. You are allowed to keep contacts in SendGrid in order to send email with all the features of advanced autoresponder services, including segmentation and A/B testing. So in the next series of videos in this course, we will set up your marketing campaign using SendGrid, as well as delve into the advanced elements of using it. We'll then take a look at factors that are going to be common with the transactional emails, such as statistics, activity, and suppressions. And although the logical place to start would seem to be the campaign section, we're actually going to start by setting up your unsubscribed groups, as that comes first. We'll also cover the template section, which is separate from the transactional email templates. Welcome back. Now, in this video, we're going to start the process of working on our marketing campaigns. But before we do that, we're going to set up unsubscribe groups in SendGrid. And you won't find it in the marketing campaigns menu. What you're actually going to do is scroll down to the suppressions list, and you're going to click this last link that says unsubscribe groups. When you get to the unsubscribe group screen, what you're going to do is you're going to click create new group. Now, what you're doing is you're going to be uploading your unsubscribed names to this section so that you make sure that the people that are going to be part of your email campaign, they don't get emails if they have previously said to you that they did not want to subscribe. We're going to click create new group, and we're going to give this group a name. Now, you can choose to make this your default group. And again, what's going to happen is as people unsubscribe, they're going to be added to this group so that your emails from SendGrid don't go out to people that don't want them. So we're going to go ahead and make this our default group, and we're going to click save. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to bring over any unsubscribed members to any previous list that you had, and you want to start working with SendGrid with that list in the unsubscribed groups. Now, if you don't have any other lists that you're going to be bringing over, you're going to start with 0 But again, if you have anyone that you're going to be bringing over, you want to start by placing those individuals in this default list. And we're going to do that by going to this gear and then uploading a CSV file. Now that CSV file is going to have the format of having the email address in the leftmost column, then first name, then last name. So you want to have these three columns for your CSV. Now it's quite possible that when you bring your CSV over from another service, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to switch these columns around so that they fit this format. Once you have it in this format, you're going to save the format so you can upload it to SendGrid. And so you're going to come back to SendGrid. You're going to click this gear. You're going to click Upload CSV. You're going to browse to your PC. And when you upload the file, it automatically imports into your unsubscribed group. Now obviously you can create additional groups for different purposes. However, we now have a default group and we can now start working with the campaigns feature inside of SendGrid. Welcome back. We're going to start the process by working with senders. And so we're going to come into this left side column. We're going to click the senders button. And then that's going to bring you into this screen. You're then going to click the create new senders button. Now in general, when you add a sender address, you want to make sure that your email address is going to match your white label domains. So you're going to create this identity by starting with a name and email address in sync with the white label. Now if you choose not to do that, then what's going to happen is they're going to need to verify your email address through a separate process. But if you want to keep deliverability high, you generally want to have this name and this email address to match your white label. Now, the same thing is going to be true to your applied to email address. Now in general, this email address does not have to match your from email address. However, your domain should match the one that you're using in your white label. You want to make sure to have your company address inside of this area. You do need to have that for your CAN spam act. Now you can give this sender profile a nickname, and this is only going to be for your reference. Your client is not going to see this when they get your email. Once you have your first identity in, you have a nickname for it, you're then going to click Save. You're going to notice that the email is not yet verified, so you do need to go through a verification process. You should then see in your email box an email from SendGrid asking you to verify your sender identity. You're going to have a link you can click inside of your email. You can then come back and refresh your page, and when the verification process is complete, you'll have a green check mark here, and you're ready then to begin sending with SendGrid. Welcome back. Now when you start to use SendGrid as an autoresponder, you will have contacts being held inside of the system. And so if you click Contacts, you'll notice that you're starting with 0 contacts. Now if you're bringing over someone from another autoresponder, you're going to need to add to your list of contacts. And you can do that by uploading a CSV file with those contacts. And what you're going to see at this top right hand corner here is a button that says Add Contacts. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this drop down arrow and we're going to click Upload CSV File. You can just add the contacts. You can add them and include them in an existing list you already have on SendGrid, or you can include them in a new list you're going to create on SendGrid. So what you're going to do is you're going to click Select a File to Upload. We're then going to click the Custom Fields button. We're then going to identify the fields. Now in this case we have first names here, so what we're going to do is we're going to write in those first names. We're now going to identify the third column, which is the last name. And once we've done that and we have all the fields in blue, we can then click Next, Add Contacts. Then SendGrid will tell you that they're processing your contacts. They will email you at your email address when the contacts are ready and then add it to your dashboard and system. You should then get an email from SendGrid telling you that your contacts have been processed. You can view those contacts, but then you can just go back to SendGrid and you can start working with your new list. And you should see now on your screen that your contacts have been added. Welcome back. We are now in the campaign screen. What we're going to do is go now to the campaigns link. And you're going to have a button here that says create a campaign. And you can either use a blank template or you can use one of the pre-existing SendGrid templates. In this case, we're going to go ahead and start with a blank template. And then we're going to click continue. We can then go into the design editor, but if you know coding, you can use the HTML editor. In this case, we're going to go ahead and use the design editor, and we're going to click continue. Now we're going to fill in all of the campaign settings, including the campaign name, who the email is going to be from, the email subject, the pre-header, and then the categories. Now, if you want to assign your email to a specific category, you want to track what you're doing in specific ways, you can write one of these in. It's going to be internal to you. It will not be something that your client sees. We're then going to move to the recipients area. Now, if you already have segments set up, you can then use those segments. Otherwise, you can use specific lists. Now, if you hadn't done this already, you can come back to the contact list. You can then click this create segment, and you can give your segment a name. If you want to add in certain conditions, you can do that. And what this will allow you to do is this will allow you to look at your list and then only send to certain people with certain conditions. So what you'll see now is that we have a segment for these contacts that we can now use inside of our autoresponder. So if we go back and refresh the page, we should be able to come back to SendGrid, and we should be able to find that we can get recipients segmented by that particular list. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go here where it says send to, and you'll see our segment there, tutorial videos. We're going to click that link. In this case, you can set an unsubscribe custom link so that the individual can unsubscribe from one list as opposed to unsubscribing from all of your lists. You can set that in this area. In this space, what you can do is you can set up a test email address so that you'll know whether or not your emails are actually making it. So if you want to write in a test address here, you can do that. And then you can set your scheduling. You can either send the email immediately, or you can decide to send it later if you turn off immediately, and you can give it a specific schedule. In order to build the actual content, you can click build. You can drag in a text box, and then you can begin writing your email in this area. And of course, you can add in any of the other modules that you'd like to add. We can preview the email by clicking this button. Once we've done that, we can then go into the advanced area. Now, if you have HTML for a particular way that you want to send the email, or you want it to be designed, you can import that HTML into your template. You can also add in any additional header information if you're doing a specific level of tracking. So once you have everything you're going to send, you can then click Save Draft. Your drafts will then be held in your campaign area, ready to be sent. Welcome back. Now, if you want to use one of SendGrid's existing templates in order to send your email, you can do that. And if you go into the campaign setting and you click Create a Campaign, what you'll do is you will choose one of the existing templates. Now, the blank template is going to be the default. You're going to go over into the templates, and you can scroll through the templates to see which one you're actually going to use. Now, there are currently, as of the recording of this video, there are 12. So once you select one, you can then click on it, and then you'll click Continue. You're going to want to use the design editor, and then you'll be able to click Continue. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move over into the Build tab, and we're going to take a look at what we can change. Now if we hover over any of the elements, we will see boxes that we'll be able to change. For example, if we click inside of this box, you're going to notice that there is a dialog that comes up on the left side that gives the module style. We can then click Edit the image, and you'll notice that this is an image that we can change or that we can link out of. So we have some options with this image. We can go into the image library if we have already uploaded images, and we can replace that image with one that we prefer. So with the templates, we're going to alter the things that we see when we click inside of the area. In this case, you'll notice we can add in our social profiles. So basically what you're going to do with the template is you're going to click on the actual element, and then you're going to work with that element so that you'll have it looking the way you want it to. When you make a change that you feel as if you should stop and save, what you can do is scroll all the way back up to the top and click Save Draft. If you find and feel that you don't like that design, you can go back and you can create a new campaign with a new document and template. And the templates are all going to work the same. You're going to go to the Build area. You can add to this template by dragging and dropping an element, or you can edit the existing template. So you want to work with the templates in order to give it a look or a brand that you want, and then add the elements that will make your campaign successful in a marketing sense. Welcome back. In this era of privacy and GDPR, you want to make sure that no one has access to your account or that they can gain access to your account. And you can help that process by using two-factor authentication within SendGrid. And if you come into your settings area and you look at the left side menu, you'll see that there is a link there for two-factor authentication. When you come to this screen, what you'll do is you'll click Add Two-Factor Authentication. Now there are two options within SendGrid. There's the Authy app as well as text messages or SMS. The Authy app is a paid application, so we're not going to look at that one right now. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the text message authentication, and then we're going to click Next. What you'll need to do is you'll want to put in your mobile device number and then click Next. SendGrid will let you know that they have sent a code to your mobile device. It's going to be a 7-digit code, so you'll want to check your mobile device. You'll typically then get your security code on your mobile device, and then you'll want to enter that security code into SendGrid. Now what this means is that whenever you sign in to your SendGrid account, you'll need both your password as well as a security code sent to your mobile device. And that is how you will set up two-factor authentication with SendGrid. Welcome back. On your left-hand side menu, underneath the Settings button, you'll see that you actually have two lines. One will tell you how many emails you've sent, and the other is called your reputation. And actually the reputation will affect how deliverable your emails will be in the future. And SendGrid will say that the only thing that can bring down your reputation will be your bounced emails and spam reports. If you're using this for transactional email, there really should be no reason why you shouldn't have 100%. If you have less than 100%, you do want to investigate why that would be. One of the things that you can do to help if you have a case where someone may be doing a spam report is you can add unsubscribed links to the bottom of even your transactional emails, so that if we go into this tracking area, and the way that you get to the tracking area is that you are going to go to the settings, you're going to scroll down to the bottom and you're going to click tracking. That's going to bring you to this page. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click this option. You're then going to edit, and you can verify that the language is sufficient. In most cases, the default language is going to be sufficient. You're then going to click OK. Then you're going to turn on your unsubscribe links. You'll also want to make sure that your click tracking is clicked on. This will allow you to track activity. If you're using transactional email, you'll have a login and password, and you'll have a link sometimes to the login, and you'll want to track if someone is clicking those links when they get to your email. You'll also want to have open tracking, and then this is going to track when emails are going to be open. You want to have those open. If they're not open by default, you want to make sure they're turned on. Now, one other option that you have is you have the ability to add Google Analytics inside of your email so that you can collect even more statistics. And if you want to turn this on, what you'll do is you'll click Edit. And then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to set up a connection with Google Analytics. However, again, this is going to be optional. It's not something that you're going to have to do. Once you're satisfied with your tracking options, you can close them up and you can move on to the next section. Welcome back. Now, when your sender reputation is less than 100, then you'll want to look through your suppressions, because this will probably have the answer to what may be causing the problems in your account. Now, in terms of global unsubscribes, group unsubscribes, and unsubscribe groups, those things are going to apply primarily to your marketing campaigns. So for now, we're not going to pay attention to those unless you're using SendGrid for marketing. Now, what you'll want to pay attention to, especially if you're using SendGrid for transactional emails, are going to be bounces first. And this will give you an indication as to what may be happening with specific individuals that are getting emails from you for transactions. You'll be given the exact time, so you can go back and research the transaction. You'll be given the exact reason. In some cases, it may be worth following up with the individual so that you can make sure that they get your email or the transactional email in the future. And if you have a problem and people are not getting your transactional email for a particular product, you'll be able to, again, find out from this bounce report. We can also look at spam reports. Again, spam reports in the same way. These are going to be things that individuals have stated that your transactional email is spam. So in some cases, you may be able to follow up with these individuals. In other cases, it may not be a good idea. But again, you'll know if you have a large number of individuals in this spam report for a particular product, for a particular reason, this is something that if you have a problem in your transaction system that you can fix. So again, spam reports will tell you specific individuals you may need to fix. And again, that's going to be triggered by your reputation telling you that it's less than 100. In some cases, depending on how your email is sent, your email may be blocked by a particular server. And so what you're going to need to do is you may need to make sure to whitelist your own email and your own domain. Again, you're going to want to make sure you understand the reason when the email is sent. And in a number of cases, this will actually show up as your email or emails that you're using. You can fix this in your mail settings and by going to the address whitelist and making sure your domains are fixed in this mail settings area. In some cases, you may have a situation where individuals have placed the wrong email inside of a contact form. They're then getting an invalid email. So this may be a group of people that you're going to be following up with. So now by going through the suppressions area, you'll be able to note when and why your email may or may not be deliverable routinely. And again, the trigger point for this is that your reputation is less than 100%. Welcome back. Now in this video, we want to take a look at how we would do research on specific emails. And what you'd do is you'd go to this Activity tab. Now in the Activity tab, you have 3 days worth of information. So in other words, you can retrieve information about any email that you've sent over the past 3 days. Now, if you need more information than that, you can purchase up to 30 days of history. But you'd be using this in the most extreme cases. So if you have a situation where one of the emails is showing up in your suppressions list and you want to find out more about that email, you can come to this area and you can search that email. You'll be able to look at all of the information about this email, and you'll be given enough information to start investigating as to what happened. So the activity feed is a place where you'll search over the last 3 days to find out what has happened with your email and where and why it's not being delivered. Welcome back. In conclusion, if your goal is to use SendGrid in order to track activity with your transactional email, you have a statistical area, and this will give you all the information you need as to what's happening with those emails. On the overview page, you'll be given an indication of the 2 factors influence your deliverability as well as your reputation score, which are the bounces and the spam reports. There is other information available, such as the geographic location of the emails that you are delivering, how they're accessing your email in terms of webmail or their desktop or some other way of generating email, as well as the actual mailbox provider. You can see that here between Gmail and Outlook Live. You can look at specific browsers and compare their results. Now again, you will probably not be using this activity for transactional email unless there is a problem. And if there is, you have a handy guide to do further investigation. Now, if you're using SendGrid for your marketing emails, one thing that you'll want to note is that by going back into this section and going to the overview, you're going to notice then that there are no statistics where there were statistics in the main area. And that's mainly because SendGrid keeps these statistics for your marketing emails separate from those you're delivering for transactions. And now that you have a handle on how SendGrid works, you're now ready to connect to any third-party application through the API. Hello and welcome. You were looking at SendGrid.com, and we are on the inside of the dashboard, and we're looking at the statistics right now. If we were to go into the settings, and then we were to go into the mail settings, and then we were to look at the event notification, one of the things that was discussed in the basic course was that you can use one HTTP post URL. And currently this is being used by a particular web application. What the web application is not of particular importance, but it's fair to note that this web application requires that you use that webhook. This web application has specific instructions on what you need to do in order to connect to SendGrid. And this is going to be the case when you're using SendGrid either as an extension of your web application to send marketing email or to use for transactional email, as is the case with this one called ClickFunnels. Now in this course, we're going to walk through the process of getting set up on a web application. In particular, we're going to work with WordPress, and we're going to show you how to both use WordPress as a membership site or as part of your blog. We're also going to take a look at 3 helpful connections using the web application Zapier. We'll also take a look at some of the advanced aspects of creating new segments, white labeling your domains, and split testing campaigns. And by the time the course is over, you'll be able to set up any WordPress application with SendGrid as well as use the marketing engine to send out marketing emails. Welcome back. You are now looking at a website created with WordPress.com. Now the WordPress system sends out a number of different notifications and they send them to your inbox. In some cases, those notifications will be visible to you or your client, and they'll be right in the box where all of your email tends to come. In other cases, those emails will go to inboxes or spam boxes where you might not know that it came and you might not know the contents of it. Now the default settings for WordPress do not give you any options in terms of changing the way you deliver your email, or for you to be able to increase the likelihood that your emails will be delivered. And this is why you can control the way the mail is sent through plugins like SendGrid and other email senders. So in the next few videos, we're going to show you how you can get around this factor of WordPress and ensure deliverability of those WordPress emails, in addition to any third-party application that uses the WordPress system in order to send emails. Welcome back. You're now looking at the inside of a WordPress installation. And one of the things you'll notice about this WordPress installation is that it has a membership plugin installed. That membership plugin is called Wishlist Member. And like most membership plugins, it utilizes the existing system for email that's already native inside of the WordPress installation. Therefore, when you take a membership-related action, such as adding a member to a specific product, as we're going to do right here, and we'll click Go, this individual would then be part of a product and they would get notification to their email address. That notification would be sent by the membership plugin, but it would use the existing WordPress system. Now, the way the membership scripts work around this is to give you access to your autoresponder to connect to the membership plugin to use its email system. However, you still don't have a case where as soon as a person takes an action, they change their password, that they're going to get an email immediately. And that we want to be able to rectify. So in the next video, we're going to start the process by installing a new plugin so that we can bring in SendGrid to help us with this problem. Welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to install the SendGrid plugin. Before we do that, we want to take a look and determine why this is going to be necessary. If we go into a user's profile and we were to click this link that says Send Reset Password link to the user, we'd want to be able to hit this button and have the individual see this link and see their login and password pretty much right away. So let's go ahead and click this link. The problem is that while we have the initial setup username and password, we don't have a password reset that this individual is receiving. That means then that we need to do something to make sure that this email is going to be delivered. So we're going to start the process by clicking Plugins, and then we're going to click Add New. And we're going to write in here to SendGrid, and we're going to click Enter and search. What you'll notice is that there are a couple of plugins available to us. There's the SendGrid plugin and SendGrid SMTP. Now you'll notice that this plugin says Update Now, and that's really because this plugin has already been installed on this particular WordPress website. However, you'll probably see the Install Now button. And what you'll do is you'll click that Install Now button so that you can activate the plugin. Once you've installed the plugin, you can either come to the plugin section or you can do it right there on the screen. You can click Activate. Now you'll verify that that's been installed, and what you'll do then is you'll go to the settings area and then you'll just verify that SendGrid is working by clicking SendGrid, and then you should come into a screen that requests some information from you, and then we will make this information available. Now by default, when you have the SendGrid plugin installed, you'll note that it'll say that you need Swift in order to send via SMTP. Now in most cases we're going to be working with the API, but you may run into a situation with your host or in any third-party application where you may very well need to send by SMTP. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to find the Swift plugin and we're going to install it. So we're going to go to this plugin area and click Add New. And when we get to the Add New screen, we're going to write in Swift. Now typically you'll see a result here. It says Swift Mailer. If you want to write in the word mailer, you can. It'll come closer to the top, and then you can click Install Now. Once the plugin has been installed, you can then click Activate. You'll then want to verify that Swift Mailer is then part of your plugin library. And then when you go back to the SendGrid installation, you'll notice then that you have a choice. You can then send mail by API, or you can also send by SMTP. And so now that you have both options, we're now ready to start working with our SendGrid account. Welcome back. Now in the basic course, we set up a brand new SendGrid account. However, throughout the course, you also saw that in the event notification area, it's quite possible that you could have a very specific application for your HTTP post URL, which does bring some limitations to your SendGrid account. You also recall that there is a very specific two-factor authorization in order to become part of the account. One thing that was not discussed is that you will have the opportunity to add teammates to a particular account, giving them access to do research and make certain changes to your SendGrid account. We can very easily use different API keys where we're using one SendGrid account even though they have multiple functions. However, there is a case for setting up a separate SendGrid account for a specific installation or specific application you're using on the web. Giving teammates access to certain levels of statistics as well as access to customers is a good idea as long as it's limited to those that you want them to be able to see. And if that's the case, the sensible thing to do would be to open a separate account with separate teammates and separate reputation and access. And while you can't create a second account with an email you're already using, you can create as many accounts as you feel you need to in order to get the maximum deliverability and keep the data secure. And so in this case, we will work with the brand new account that was just created in order to work with this WordPress installation. Welcome back. Now when possible, we want to be able to use our API key in order to connect to SendGrid. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go and get an API key from our SendGrid account. We're going to place it inside of this dialog box, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to update our settings to save. And to get that API key, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the settings area. We're going to click API keys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click Create API Key. And then we're going to give full access to the key. We're going to give that key a name. We are going to click Create and View. You're going to want to have some place to put this down. If you have a password manager, you want to put it in there. You're going to copy the link. And then you're going to click Done. Now, obviously, for the sake of this video, this API key has been blurred out. So we're now going to click Done. And now we're going to head back to our WordPress installation. And once you've entered the API key in, you want to make sure you've got your API dialog selected. And then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And then you're going to click Update Settings. Now once we have the information saved, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and we're going to send a test email. So we're going to write in an email, we're going to write in a subject and a body, and then we're going to click Send. The SendGrid plugin will tell us that the email has been sent. We can now see the product inside of our inbox. We can then open it, and there is our message. So now that we have the plugin installed, we can send third-party emails to an inbox through our WordPress installation. So what we want to do now is look at our transactional templates. Welcome back. Now the SendGrid plugin will allow you to use the transactional templates that we discussed in the basic course without custom coding. What we'll need in order to use those templates is the template ID. And so we'll come into our account. We will click Transactional Template. And you'll notice that there is an ID that we can use then inside of our plugin. So for the sake of this process, we will create a new template. We'll give that template a name, and then we'll click Save. We'll then add a version of the template. We will use the design editor and then click Continue. So we're going to create our template settings. We're then going to save the template. And then we're going to go to the build area. So we've now built our template. We're now going to click Save. We're going to go back outside of the templates. Now what we're going to do is to get our template ID. And we're going to head back to our WordPress installation. We are going to enter our template ID. We're then going to update our settings. And then we're going to send another test email. Once we have our test email written, we're then going to click Send. SendGrid will alert us that our email was sent. So in opening up our email, you'll notice all of the elements from our template. So this means then that all you'll need to do is to customize your template. You'll want to make sure it looks the way you want. You can go back and make changes once you've seen the test, and then you'll be able to use it in all of your transactional email. Hello and welcome. Now in this video we're going to be discussing white labeling. And if you were looking at the email, if we were to open up the details, what you'll notice is that even though this email is being sent through SendGrid, we actually have our domain. And you'll see that these are the domains that we set up through SendGrid. And again, SendGrid does this so that it will increase the opportunity for us to make sure that our emails are going to inbox. And when we went through the white labeling process, what we did was we took the information that we were given, and we took this information and we went back to the host and we asked them to install these in the right places. However, it's possible that your host will not do this service for you, so you're going to have to make sure to do this yourself, and you're going to need to do it through your cPanel hosting or your Softaculous hosting. So now that we have this information visible, we're going to walk back through the same process as if we needed to put this information into our host without the use of a virtual private server. So the first thing we would do is to go back to our cPanel hosting or Softaculous hosting. Now what you're going to do when you're inside of cPanel is you're going to come down into the zone editor. You'll see that right here. Once you click the zone editor, what you're going to do is you're going to click CNAME record. Now you have two dialog boxes, name and CNAME. Now in all three cases, the name is going to be this host, and you want to copy and paste this. You don't want to try to write this down because it has to be exact. The CNAME is going to be the data. So again, what you want to do is you want to copy these into the CNAME dialog box. Now because this has already been added, we're not going to add this for the sake of this video, but this is what you would have in each instance as you add it to your zone editor. Once you've added all three, then what you're going to do is you're going to look to go through the validation process. Now again, this one is already done, but what you're going to do is click this validate record button, and then that's going to tell you whether or not your content in the dialog boxes has been validated. And once it has, you are then ready to begin sending with SendGrid. Welcome back. If you have ever read a marketing email, you'll notice that many of the links are going to be tracked with a tracking link. And we can tell it's a tracking link if we hover over the link. You'll see at the very bottom of this video a tracking link. And if we hover over any of the links, you'll see an individual URL designed to track the clicks. Now SendGrid gives you the ability to control how that link's going to appear inside of your email. So for example, if we click this add white label, SendGrid will actually tell you what the email link white label does. It increases deliverability because those links are then changed to something that looks like your domain. That's why you want them to be white labeled. as your domain was. If we go inside of this link and we click the View button, what we'll notice is that there is a host name and a data name. And if you don't have your host doing this work for you, you are going to need to have this information placed inside of your DNS, and you do that in the very same way using the zone editor again. The host column is going to be the name. The data column is going to be the CNAME. So what you're going to do with each row is you're going to put this information into your cPanel as a CNAME record. And then you're going to come back, hit the Validate Record button so that you'll confirm that your links are then valid. Once they are validated, you are then ready to begin sending with SendGrid. Welcome back. We can use the SendGrid plugin to collect names and email addresses into our SendGrid autoresponder with some of the features we've seen. So look closer, we'll go into the settings. We'll now go into SendGrid. And this time, instead of looking solely at the general area, we are going to go over to the subscription widget. We go over to that subscription widget. What we're going to need is the API key from our SendGrid account. So we're going to go into our settings. We're going to get our API keys. We're going to create an API key. We're going to give that key full access. And then we're going to create the API key. We're now going to copy the key. It's obviously blurred out for the sake of this video. And then we're going to click Done. Now that we have our API key, we're going to head back to our WordPress installation. And we're going to add our API key into this dialog box. We'll then determine if we want the first and last name fields and for them to be required. We can either leave these checked or unchecked, whatever is our preference. You'll see that we've got default emails that are already set up. And once we have everything here, we can then click Update Settings. What we're going to do then is going to go to our Appearance. We're then going to go to the Widget section. We get to the Widget section. You'll notice that we have a widget area and we have a SendGrid subscription widget. And for the sake of this video, we're just going to pull that subscription widget all the way to the top of our WordPress site. And we're just going to use the default settings. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at our site with the new subscription widget. And what you see now is that we have our subscription widget here on the page, and we can begin collecting names and email addresses into our SendGrid account so that we can begin using it for marketing email. Welcome back. Now, if you are already using WordPress, it's possible that you'll want to move some of the users that are already part of your site into your new autoresponder. And to do that, you're going to need to export them into a CSV file. Now, the export command in WordPress only exports content. So in order to export users, we're going to need to find a plugin. So we're going to go to Add New Plugin. We're then going to write in Export Users. And then there's a plugin here called Export Users to CSV. We will be able to use that. We're going to click Install Now. We're then going to click Activate. We're then going to come into our Users category. We're then going to highlight those users that we want to export in our list. Then we're going to click Export Users. Then you'll notice now that we now have users available to export. We're going to click Users. We're going to, in this case, export all of the roles. We're going to have a start date and an end date. And then we're going to click Download Export File. Now, in order to use for SendGrid, we're going to need to have our content in a certain format. And that means then we're going to have to delete some of the columns. Now once we've cleaned up our CSV, we'll be able to use our email address, first name and last name. We can then save the file. And then we can head on to SendGrid. We're then going to go to our contacts. We're then going to click Add Contacts. We're going to upload our CSV. We're going to grab that CSV from our hard drive. We're then going to go to our custom fields. If your fields are all assigned, then you are ready to go to the next step. Now once your list is complete, you'll have all of your contacts then inside of SendGrid. You will then be ready to begin sending to these individuals. What you're going to be able to do now is you're going to be able to create segments as we did in the basic course. And we're going to start by clicking Create Segment. And we're going to give our segment a name. Now this time we're going to add a condition. And then we're going to click Save Segment. So we now have one segment. We can create a second segment. We can add a different condition. And then we'll click Save Segment. We now have our second segment. So now what you're able to do within campaigns is you're able to use different segments based on different characteristics of particular names on your contact list. Hello and welcome. Now in this video we're going to start the process of working through split tests, and we're going to start by clicking the Campaigns button. And we're going to click Create a Campaign. We're going to use the blank template and then click Continue. We're going to click the Design Editor and then click Continue. We're going to give our campaign a name. Once we have our basic campaign settings, we're going to save. And then we're going to click this fourth tab, and it's going to be the A/B testing tab. What we're going to do is we're going to turn on A/B testing. In this case, we're going to test the subject line, so we're going to vary the subject line. And then we're going to determine which version wins. So we can determine that the email that has the highest open rate, that'll be the winner, or the click rate, or the manual rate. Now for this email, we're going to choose the open rate. And then we're going to click Save Draft. And once we complete the look of the email, as well as the tags, we are then ready to send this campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the recipients. We're going to send to specific segments. In particular, we're going to send to the admin segment. And we're going to use our general unsubscribe group. Finally, we can choose to send our email immediately, or we can choose to send one when we schedule it. But we are now ready to begin testing our email for the subject line using open rate as a criteria for determining which one did best. Welcome back. Now there are other aspects to A/B testing inside of SendGrid, and we're still inside of the email that we are split testing. And if you look at the test type, the second kind of test you can run is if you vary the content. And when you vary the content, you can determine how many versions you're going to have. So example, if you want to have 4 different versions of the content, and then you're going to have a certain percentage of the emails going to each one of these size segments. When you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to see the segments show up here at the top. And so you have segment A open, where you're going to put your content. You would then click on segment B, and you'd put content in segment B. You would then put your content in segment C. Then you'd put content in segment D. You can also vary the sample size. So example, if you wanted to have all 100% of the emails in a certain segment delivered and part of the test, you can move this up to 90%, And basically you're going to have all 4 segments adding up to 90%. The winning version is going to be 10. You can run the test for a certain period of time when you're doing a content test. You can make it for 24 hours if you want. And basically you have a way of determining and tracking whether or not one email did better than another. Of course, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to vary the links that you have in here that people are clicking so you'll know which email sent the effective traffic. Welcome back. SendGrid can extend even further than WordPress when you consider that you can integrate it with a third-party app called Zapier. Zapier combines 2 web applications that typically don't have a direct integration to do things that will be common practices in both apps. So for example, if we write in the name SendGrid, we've already done that here so that we can look to find out which applications actually work with SendGrid. And you'll notice that there are applications with Google Sheets, Facebook, MailChimp, and others. Now, if you currently don't have a Zapier account, you can go to Google and you can search for SendGrid integrations with Zapier. And if you go inside of that link, you'll be able to see at a glance all of the applications that integrate with SendGrid. And you'll see here that we can scroll through them fairly quickly and get a sense for which ones we can use in our existing business. Now, there are 3 in particular that we are going to explore: SendGrid and PayPal, SendGrid and SurveyMonkey, and SendGrid and Shopify. Now obviously you can explore the app further to find out which integrations you can use along with SendGrid. Welcome back. Now you can do a limited number of applications with Zapier as long as they don't have the premium logo. You can use them as part of the free plan. So as you begin to look for applications that work with SendGrid, if you see the premium sign, you may want to go ahead and subscribe. If not, you can set up the Zap and then you can determine how often you're going to be using it. Now in this case, the second app we're going to be looking for is going to be PayPal, and it's a premium app. So we're going to click PayPal, and what you'll notice is that there's one connection between SendGrid and PayPal. So assuming that you have either a trial of Zapier or you have the $15 level, you can click Use this Zap. Now the connection is that you make a sale through PayPal, and what you want to do is then you want to have an email sent to them through SendGrid. And so we can do that through Zapier. So what we're going to do first is we're going to click Create this Zap, and we're going to start by connecting to PayPal. Now for the sake of testing, we're going to click Silent Mode, and we're going to copy this Zapier webhook to our clipboard, and we're going to continue forward. And what we need to do now is we need to place this URL inside of PayPal. Now the webhook is going to go into your instant payment notification settings inside of PayPal. So what you're going to do then is once you have placed it inside of the dialog box, you'll then click Save. You'll then want to click Fetch and Continue. You should be able to have a successful test. You'll then click Continue. And so now we'll need to connect to SendGrid, so we'll click Continue. We'll now connect our SendGrid account. Once you have your sample information in, you can then click Continue. You can then send your test to SendGrid. Once you have a successful test, you can then click Finish, and then your Zap will be turned on. So what you've set up is that when you have a successful test at PayPal, you can then have an email sent to the individual through Zapier through SendGrid. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to talk about a helpful connection between SendGrid and SurveyMonkey. And basically, what you'll be allowed to do once you connect the 2 applications is to send an email for every new response on SurveyMonkey. So to get started, we're going to click Use this Zap once we have selected SendGrid and SurveyMonkey. And basically, this is a way of thanking the individuals that actually took the survey. So we're going to click Create this Zap. And we're going to start with a SurveyMonkey trigger. So in other words, a survey answer from SurveyMonkey is going to be the thing to set the Zap in motion. We're going to click Continue. And then we're going to connect our SurveyMonkey account. We're going to authorize SurveyMonkey and Zapier, and we are already logged into SurveyMonkey to make it easier. So once we have our SurveyMonkey account connected, we're then going to click Save and Continue. And now we're going to select a survey. And we're going to select one of our available surveys. What we're going to do now is we're going to click Continue. And then we're going to click Fetch and Continue. What we're going to do now is we're going to click SendGrid Action and click Send Email. We're going to use our existing connected SendGrid account. We're going to click Save and Continue. And now we're going to set up the email. Once we have our answers, we'll then click Continue. And then we'll send the test to SendGrid. And once we have a successful test, we can then click Finish. And in order to activate this, you will need a paid plan of SurveyMonkey. Now you can also connect SendGrid to Shopify. Although you don't have a direct connection through Shopify, you can connect through Zapier. And so to get started, we're going to click Use this Zap. And basically, when a customer makes a purchase on your Shopify store, Zapier is going to send that customer a transactional email. So what we're going to do is click Create this Zap. We're then going to click the Shopify trigger, and we're now going to connect our Shopify account. We're going to connect our store and then click Continue. Shopify will then tell you that they are about to install the app for Zapier. And then your Shopify store will be connected. You'll then click Save and Continue. You'll then be setting up a Shopify paid order. You'll then click Continue. Now, if you're testing and you don't have an existing paid order, you may need to skip this step. But we're now going to click Fetch and Continue. So because we're in the testing phase, we're going to skip the test and continue. We're now going to click Continue. And then we're going to set up our SendGrid. So we're going to click Continue. We have our existing SendGrid account, so we're now going to click Save and Continue. So once you have the test information in, you're then going to scroll down and click Continue. And then you'll send the final test to SendGrid. Once your email has been successfully sent, you can then click Finish. And then your Zap will be turned on. And every time that you make a sale from your Shopify store, the individual will be sent an email through Zapier from SendGrid. In conclusion, in this course, we've worked extensively with WordPress, as well as a membership site within WordPress called Wishlist Member. Now, most of the features of Wishlist Member will exist in any WordPress-based membership script. We also looked at the SendGrid connection to the web-based app ClickFunnels, which connects through SMTP instead of the API as it does through WordPress. We also, through Zapier, connected to a Shopify e-commerce platform to send transactional email. We discovered that there was a way for you to build your list using WordPress and SendGrid without having to know any coding. Now, it's quite possible that you may want to use a different kind of membership script, such as the one called a member, which depends on PHP and HTML. And that's the case, a connection to SendGrid is through the API, and it's very simple, as you can see here on screen. And you are now ready to use SendGrid in any way to connect, whether you want to connect through WordPress, cloud-based, or an HTML setting. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I'll see you either in another video or in another course.